Hello and welcome back to ZIM Explore. I'm Dr. Abstract, and in this ZIM Explore we're going to take a look at how we can load assets into our ZIM editors. Let's go to the ZIM site now at zimjs.com. Okay, we have two editors primarily, and that is here, the main ZIM editor. And we've just recently brought the main ZIM editor into the same fold, so to speak, as the KIDS editor, the SLATE editor, by bringing in assets now that we have loaded or created these AI images. So the rest of them are rather clip art type things for kids primarily, but these assets are quite nice. So the AI assets look like this. Ooh, exciting, huh? I'm just going to uncheck them all like that and hit the update so that we're starting fresh. Okay, there's also, aside from the ZIM editor, there's also the KIDS editor where this came from in the gold bars down here, KIDS. And the KIDS editor has SLATE right here. So much very same. All right, why don't we show how to load assets in with the KIDS editor here? Yeah, right, but there it's the same for both of them. So we go assets like that. And assets are images and sounds that we can use with our app. And we'll choose the AI assets. And then which ones we want to see. Hello, alien, how about you? So we check on that. You can see what the asset looks like by clicking this little thing here, and it gets bigger. So that pops up in a new window there. What else do we want to see? Oh, how about a background? Okay, so we'll check that one. Note that you can press the check or just write on the picture itself. And there are two types of assets primarily, well, three types, I guess, two main types: images, things that you can see, and then sounds as well. Of the images, though, there are two types, and that is just plain pictures and sprites. The sprites look like this. So this is a sprite right here. Why don't we pick it? And that's actually a sprite sheet that's 4 by 4. Oh, I unpicked it, but I meant to make it bigger. So there's making it bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4 columns and 4 rows going down. And the idea behind this one is we can load this sprite sheet in and tell it to go to a certain frame so that we can get that picture. Or if we don't say any frame, it will randomly pick one of these frames. We can try that out. Yep. And there's other sprites in here as well, some that look a bit more different, like there's a bunch of different castles or a bunch of controllers. Dragons. Isn't this exciting? Superheroes. Monsters. Princesses and royals and ships and spies and trees. Okay, so those are our AI assets, and we'll go back up to the top. Once we've checked the ones we want, we hit up, and we can go right across and check other things across here as well. But once we're done checking, we hit update. So you don't have to update each page. You can just go across those different pages, choose any that you want, and then hit update. And look at what happens. They get put over here. So we have the aliens and the asteroids and the alien planet. Let's see if I can make that a bit bigger for us. Okay, so if we want to use the asset now that it's in there, we can make a new pic. And let's put in that background picture of the alien planet. So I copy that. Make sure that you use quotes around that. So quotes as a string, and we can just use that ID. We do have a way in ZIM to not use the editor. You can just use a VS Code, for instance, another editor on your computer, etc. And you can use any assets that you know of, that you have, and you can go right to the PNG or the JPEG there, .png. If I can spell PNG or JPEG, whatever it is. But in this case, what we've done is made it easy for kids is we've used an ID. So in behind the scene, these pictures are being loaded, the PNG or JPEG, or the MP3 for sound, and yet we can use an ID to get to them. So there's our new picture. We need to add that to the stage. So if we center it on the stage like that and hit refresh or test, there is our asset showing up. Let's drag that and have a look at it. Drag. And now I can drag the asset, and you can see that it's a little bit higher than the stage, and it's definitely wider than the stage. So sometimes it'll be too small, like this, and you want to scale it a little bit. So the easiest way is to go .scaleTo. If it's a background picture like that, that will be perfect, because what that does is it fits whatever, it makes sure that all of this is showing an image. So there's stuff on the left and the right, but hardly any on the top and the bottom. So it just fit that in there. You see how so it fills that whole section. This is what fit would look like. So fit's a little bit different. We fit to the stage 100%. And that is doing 100% of the width. And you can see now that, oopsies, well, the height's not helping out. So that's not the best one to use when it comes to scaling a background. So there we go. We'll leave it like this. Okay, great. We don't need to drag that anymore. And next we'll put our alien on there. So that is also a picture. I'll copy that. And this time it's alien 03 that we're putting in here. Boop. And we will center alien 3. There is alien 3. Oh, we're not dragging it. One thing you can do if you don't want it centered is you can place this alien. So if we want, we can go .place like that. And then we can pick up the alien and place it wherever we want the alien, say right there. So once it's placed there, we have to still do something. We go to the console. Console is F12. And in the console, we have obj.loc. So it's asking for a loc, and there's the value. So I copy that from the console. We close the console down. And we can replace place with that. And as a matter of fact, we no longer need to center it either. So basically, we are going to loc at whatever it said there in the console. And now, if I save it, it starts off there. Yay! Oh, we can't drag it anymore because I took away the drag. But get it? So that's a way that we can locate things on there with place, .place. Let's see, what else can we show you? Oh, how about that rock? Did we get an asteroid? Yeah, we did. Now watch what happens when we bring in the asteroid as a new pick. That's not what we want to do. We want to use a sprite. So I'm going to copy the asteroids, and there's the pick. Oop. And then we go .center like that, and we get a bunch of rocks. Okay. Well, these rocks are 4 by 4, so what we want is a sprite like that. And even if we had a sprite, we'd still get a bunch of rocks. What we need to do is tell the sprite there are 4 columns and 4 rows. Now, it's picking a random one and sticking it right on the head. Drag. Let's drag this so that we can move it out of the head. But note that every time we run it, it's a random rock stuck on the head of the alien. Okay, well, it might actually be the same one twice, but it's just randomly picking one from the sprite sheet. Why don't we get another sprite sheet? And one that we can kind of tell the difference, because the rocks, I can't tell the difference very well. So I'm going in here, and I'm going to uncheck rocks. And let's, what should we put on the planet? Should we put a castle on the planet? We could see the castles, or we can see a different controllers. Actually, the controllers we brought out as a couple individual ones, but there's also a sprite sheet of the rest of them. And here's dragons. Oh, there's eyeballs. That might be hard to tell the difference between a batch of eyeballs. Same with jewels. There's a lot of choices. I just want something that's relatively simple. There's plushies, presents. Why don't we do a castle? I saw the castle up above, and that way we don't have to scroll as far to find it. Buildings. Where was it? After cars. There goes a car. So there we go. We're clicking castles, which is 3 by 3. And don't forget, note that there's no castles here, and we still have the asteroids. What we want to do is hit update. Now we have, a broken thing. So something is broken because we don't have the asteroids anymore. Instead, we have castles. So let's collect the castles, put them there, and watch what happens when we center the castles. You ready? That doesn't look very good. It's kind of like a quarter of a castle. There's another part of a castle. It's kind of strange. What's going on? I got different parts of the castles. That's because castles are 3 by 3. So don't forget to check your size. And there's a 3 by 3 castle. Great. Now, it may be that every time I test, I'm going to get a random castle. You see, that's a different castle. I like that castle. I like that castle with the sort of, that looks nice. It looks like it belongs on this planet, kind of. What we can do so that we can see a little bit better is we can reduce the alpha of this image, .alp, like that, 0.3. So now the background is a little bit faded, and we can see what we're looking at here a bit better. That one's nice too. Okay, so let's try and get a specific castle. Rather than getting a random castle or a random sprite, let's make it so that we can get a certain sprite. All right, so for that, we can go to the assets and go find our castle. Where is it? After the cars comes castle. There it is. I can open it up here. Let's look at these castles. We liked it when they were kind of blue. How about, this is the 0 castle, 1 castle, 2 castle, 3 castle, 4 castle. This is a grand castle, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to choose frame 4. Okay, and we'll close that back down and come here. And to get frame 4 of our castle, make sure we don't run off the page, although it's fine if we did, we will go .run, put in squiggly brackets, frame : 4. All right, so that is running the sprite so that it goes to frame 4. There's another way to do it too, but let's try it. And there's our castle that we wanted. And if I test again, it's still the same castle. Okay. The other way to do it is put the sprite in a variable, const castle, like that, is equal to. And then instead of running it, this would be a random castle. It happened to be the same castle there. Random castle, see that? But if we want, afterwards, we could say castle.frame is equal to, which one was it? 4, like that. And now it's going to always be the one that we like. Okay, so 2 different ways to get to a certain sprite that we want. And remember, you just count along the rows, or along the columns, and then go down the rows. All right, let's not do it that way. So I'll undo, we'll keep it how it was before. So great, we've got this castle on there. But there's another type of sprite as well. And this is us saying, hey, how do we load in these assets and what can we do with them? So there's another type of sprite. If I go into assets, it's not in the AI assets. So we'll go to, say, the nature assets right here. And here it is. This very first one is an ant. Now, an ant is a little bit different. There's also a butterfly, for instance, the butterfly, and they're surrounded by red dashes. Are there any other red dashes in here? There's a monkey. So we could put the monkey on there, or we could put the ant on there. But anyway, here's the monkey. So if I look at the monkey, it's a little bit different. It's not like, I want this monkey. Because look, they're virtually all the same. Instead, this sprite is making an animation. So the monkey is going to look like it's walking. So that's actually position these monkeys. It wasn't terribly easy. So sometimes it's hard to make a sprite sheet, and you would need a professional animation tool, or go out onto the internet and find sprite sheets. So we have a number of sprite sheets where there's lots of frames. Those are called frames, and they would make an animation. Shall we look at the butterfly? There's the butterfly. It's a little bit different still in that it has certain animations. So you could play this whole thing and it looks okay, but actually some of these animations are making it fly to the right, some of them are making it fly to the left, and so it's a bit more specialized. Still, you could probably use it and just run it as well. That would be fine. The ant is kind of cute. Why don't we make the ant? I'm going to choose the ant here. Did I also choose the, I chose the butterfly. I'm not going to bother choosing the butterfly. And if we wanted to, a way to deal with this would be to uncheck the nature selections. Yes. So I've unchecked the nature. I did not uncheck all because we still want our alien stuff. And then I'm just going to check the ant. Okay. Once I've decided, I go update. And we can see that in the nature section, I now have an ant. I still have my castles, which I don't really need anymore, but I guess we could put a castle somewhere. Would you like to put a castle there? I suppose we can. So do you remember how to place the castle? Here it is, and we can go .place right there. And I refresh it again. Then I pick up the castle and say, yes, that's where I want the castle. And we go F12 to look at the console. And this is telling me where the castle should be placed. Ooh, look at that, 666333. That must be magical. So instead of centering, I'm going to loc the castle. Oops, I loc'd it twice. I'm going to loc the castle at 666333. I won't bother placing it anymore. I don't really need to drag it anymore. I'll comment it out. There's the castle located. Do you like that? Okay, so we've got our castle. Can't drag it. We've got our alien. And now we've got this little ant. So shall we make the ant go and run across the bottom here? Does that sound like fun? But I hope you're doing okay. We're now moving into a little bit more than just loading an asset. Perhaps I can talk briefly about sound before we go and make the ant move. If we look at assets, there's also sounds. So I'm going to go into the sounds, and here's a beep sound. Beep. And there's little sci-fi sounds. Or ooh. Okay, little sounds. You can select the sounds that you want. Boop, there's our alarm. And do the same thing, go to the top and hit update. But I'm not going to select any sounds for this one. Okay, so sounds can be brought in, and once you get a sound ID here, you can use an odd, new odd, like that for audio. The one thing is, though, you can't, and then you dot play. You can't play a sound until you interact with the app, until you interact. So you can't play a new audio right away. It won't let you. You have to wait. So for that, what I want you to do is go to Help right here. And there's, we're in Help. If we scroll down in Help, there are all these little bars that show how to make a background color, a background picture. Well, we've already done the background picture. Adding pictures, we did that too. How to get emojis, how to put things in containers so that we can move a bunch of them around. Here is adding sounds and adding background sounds. So if you open up that bar, it gives you the instructions on how to play. All right, and note that we made the sound. That's okay. But when we mouse down, that's when we played it. So we're interacting, then we can play the sound. But you can make the sound first. So there's the instructions. And here's a background sound. That's a little bit different. Like I said, this would give us an error. So what we're saying is make a pane that says start. So here's how to make a pane that says start. And then when we will show that pane, but in here is a little function. In here is a little function that runs when we close the pane. So when we show, we can also put a function right in here that will run when we close the pane. And when we close the pane, that's when we can play the background sound. Here, we're playing it at a low volume, and we're looping it so that it will play over and over again. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way is with a little toggle button. So there's a little example of a toggle button. Okay, and then we could use a real button that has, so you can just copy this code and put it on over here. But it's a bit more complicated than I want to spend right now. There might be a video on it. I can't remember. We did a video earlier. See this video right here. And this video takes you through all of these bars and what we're doing inside the bars. Okay, right now, though, we're just practicing getting the assets in. And I wanted to try making that ant. So we're going to test our code here. Uh-oh, play. Right, I have a broken thing here. So let's test it again. We're going to make an ant go right along the bottom. Are you ready? And this is a sprite that is an animation. So we will go new sprite. Oh, spell new correctly. New space sprite with a capital letter. Our sprite is called ant. It's that simple. So make sure it's in quotes, ant. And it was 4, I can get there, 4 by 1. So it had 4 columns and 1. It's a very short animation. Now we are going to center that, and let's run it. Run. that will run at a default of 1 second to run. Oh, there it goes. The ant's right on the alien's head, it seems. It's too bad. And it's a very short animation. Let me drag that. I'll make it a bit bigger, 2.ska. I will scale it 2 times bigger. And now there's the little ant going. Can you see it? You almost can't see it. Ready? Test. It's just walking. Almost looks like a mustache on the alien. The alien ant mustache. Well, you never know what an alien's going to look like. But we want to loop it. So if we want to loop, we can say loop : true. And that's in the little brackets there. Loop : true. Now the ant is looping. And that's all it's doing, is just moving its little legs and head. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it animate along the bottom like that. But there we go. That is the sprite. If you think assets, we've got the sprite animating. Once again, when we run it, it will default to 1 second. If you want it to go faster or slower, you can put in the time. Time : 3 seconds. Then what will it do? Can you imagine if we say 3 seconds to run? Oh, that's a very slow ant. We probably want something like 0.3 seconds. Isn't that cute? Maybe we'll do 0.4 seconds. It just depends on how fast we want this ant to run. Now it looks like... Okay, so sometimes the time needs to be quite short. Okay, so we've got our ant there, and next let's make it animate across the screen. Yeah, does that sound good? So I'm just going to drop these down. Remember, if we have our chaining, this is called, we can put them on new lines. We're not going to bother dragging the ant anymore. Although we do want to start the ant down here somewhere. We actually want to start it off screen, which is a little bit tricky, and then we'll make it walk along the bottom. Okay, so let's see. If we want to start it down in the bottom rather than centering, we're going to pose it. How about if we go 0, comma, and maybe 50, comma, from the right-hand side, from the bottom. Let's try that. Oh, did I spell bottom right? Post, position, no T. So there we go. There's the little ant, but note that he's 0 from the right-hand side. Well, if we said 0 from the left, here's what it would look like. Now the little ant is 0 from the left. Okay, so let's see, 0 from the right. What if we say 50 from the right? Do you think that would work? No, it moves it 50 pixels, 50 little pixels from the right. What about minus 50? Oh, I get it. So 0 is right against the edge. Minus is starting to move it off the edge. So what if we made minus 100? Almost. I see the head still. How about just minus 150? It won't really matter too much. Yay! Our ant is off the right-hand side. Now we want to animate it to the left-hand side. So that would look like this. .animate. And we would animate to an x of 0. Let's see what that does. Whoa. Okay. It's a little bit fast, so we would want to spend more time at it. How about 4 seconds? Not bad, but what's it doing just stopping there? So we really want to animate it off the edge. And so that would be like minus 150. Should we try that? Minus 150. So there it goes, and off the edge, good. But we want it to loop as well. So now there's a few things we want with animation. Also, I don't really like the fact that it starts off slow, gets faster, and then slows down. I just want to go at a constant speed. So that's because we have this thing called easing. And this isn't really to do with assets. Now we're more talking about ZIM. So we've actually done all of the stuff that we want to do with assets. Maybe I'll show you how we can clear the assets, but we'll just finish this off. I mean, it's good enough, but a little bit more. Hopefully you won't mind. The one thing is we want to get to loop and loop. If you look in the docs, which is right here, the spells, animate, if we put in animate like that, Loop is right here. So it's a long way. We'd have to go null, 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 null to get there. So what we're going to do is go to a different way to do parameters by putting squiggly brackets around all of this stuff. So I put a squiggly bracket at the beginning and a squiggly bracket at the end. And this is for advanced students. Oh my goodness, and you guys are watching this, it's amazing. So here we go props, colon, and that tells us the properties are those. And then we say time, colon, is that. Now we can just go directly to loop, colon, true, and that will loop. We can also put in the ease, colon, quote, linear, and that makes it run like a straight line. Not a straight line, but a straight time. Do you see that? Okay, what do you think of that? Let's move it down a little bit. So here, we'll go to, say, 30 from the bottom. It looks like it's sliding a bit. So that means it's either going too fast. Let's slow it down by making a longer time. How about even just a little bit longer? Boop. That's not too bad. But we could also speed this up to 0.3. So now we've got little fast. Oh, yeah, but and we'll move it even down farther to 20. So that's 20 from the top, and there goes our little ant. Isn't that cute? And it's just going to keep going. If we wanted to, we could put a pause on it. So there's a loop wait, like this, loop wait, colon, and how long should we wait before we loop? 1 second. Oh, I need a comma there. So now, as it loops, it's going to wait 1 second. You have to wait for it to get across, and it waits, and then it comes out. You see that? You could wait even longer if you wanted to. All right, so that's great. We have an alien that we got on there. We have a castle, although the castle looks kind of funny in our space world. And if we clear these things, so here's our assets. We would go into our assets and we would hit uncheck all. So if we unchecked all and hit update, all of this stuff would break. One nice thing that we've made is that you can collect all of this, and because I've just copied it, I've collected it, and because I have these assets listed in here, I can go to the ZIM site at zimjs.com, go into the editor, and paste them into the editor, like so, and test. And now the same thing happens here. So the editor knows to read these assets, and even though we didn't go and pick them, it'll still run the app here. Another thing to look at is once we have the app, we can hit share. And when we share, it goes to ZIM Beam. And what Beam does is it has a copy of the HTML in here. Ooh, and look, there are the assets. And here are those IDs we were talking about. Alien 3 is really AIPNG or whatever that is. And there's the other ones. There's the planets, and the ant is at the end. Okay? And then we pass these assets and the path. The path is at zimjs.org/assets. We pass both the assets and the path into the frame, and that preloads them. And then we're able to use them. So this is the actual HTML code that works. Okay, and you can share that with other people. That's one way to get to it. You can also, if you want, go to the full screen here. And there's our little ant in full screen. Go Ctrl+U, and there's all of the code here as well. So you can see the full page, and then go get the code with Ctrl+U, and you can use that code. Okay. Another way to do it is back on Slate here. If you hit save, it just downloaded it to my desktop. Okay, so or into my downloads. I can go into my downloads and I can see that. So here it is right here. Can I play it, or is it almost done? It's not quite done. Here we go. And here it is. This is from my own computer in my downloads, and it's still playing. Okay. So that's another way that you can store it and save it. If you're in the editor like I am, then you can log in and save the file. So if I go like this, I can save the file on the ZIM site, and all of that would work. Yay! I am Dr. Abstract, and this has been a ZIM Explore. Hopefully you've enjoyed seeing these assets that we've added, and have a great day or night. Come and join us at the forum, zimjs.com/forum or zimjs.com/discord, and we'd be happy to talk to you more. All the best. Cheers.